Welcome to Lotus Love. If you are curious about how to half lotus or full lotus, seated, standing, or upside down, this class is for you. Welcome, and for this morning's practice, you will need 2 blocks, and we'll begin our practice in Virasana, Hero's Pose. You might like to put a block or 2 underneath the bottom as you sit back between your heels. You can close your eyes and rest your hands on your thighs. So the final destination, often people think in yoga, is that lotus pose, the ankles crossed over the thighs. And there is a lot of mobility and action that needs to occur in order for us to take that shape. Today's practice will open the hips and we'll look at our lotus, right then left, left then right, and even upside down. And as you sit in this particular shape, begin to contemplate what is happening at the upper thigh bones. What direction are they rotating? So this is an internal rotation of the thighs. We see this rotation in a wide-legged forward bend. For the next few moments, roll the pelvis forward and back. And what is so interesting about this is you might feel on one side of the pelvis a little more tension. It could be the way that your thigh bone sits in the pelvis. It could be an injury or tension. And then bring yourself back through neutral and rise up to a standing forward bend. So your feet are hip distance apart. You might like a subtle bend in the knees, resting the fingertips on the floor. And then tipping the weight forward and back. The spine is heavy. And then Malasana, fan the feet out to the side and come into a little squat, a little birthing squat. Rocking side to side and pressing the knees into the elbows. So this is an externally rotated hip, and this is the position for lotus. Extended side angle is prepping you for lotus. And with the extra leverage of the knees pressing into the arms pressing into the knees, we get a bit of muscular activity. Stop the movement, tie a weight to the tailbone, and reach the spine up to the ceiling. Flip your toes forward, take one more forward bend, feet hip distance. You could grab opposite elbows or hold on to the back of the head. We will explore the different direction that the hip can open. We'll flow and warm the body. Release your hands to the earth. Bring your feet together. Inhale, lengthen. And exhale, fold. Inhale, reach up, look up. Release the arms. Inhale, up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lengthen. Step walk, float back, Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, Urdhva Mukha. Exhale, Adho Mukha. Lift your right leg up. Bend your knees, stack your hip, reach the kneecap toward the ceiling. You might even like to drop down onto the left forearm and tent the right fingertips. Reach through the top of the thigh. Think bow pose. Zipper yourself through center and release the right foot. Lift the left leg up, bend it, stack it, point through the knee, maybe drop to the right forearm, maybe tent the left fingers. Zipper yourself through center, release your foot. Set your eyes up the wall. Eyes forward, step walk, float to the top. Lengthen. Bow. Reach up, palms touch. Release the arms. Inhale up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lengthen. Step walk, float back, Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, Urdhva Mukha. Exhale, Adho Mukha. Lift your right leg up, bend your knee, open your hip. Eyes forward, step the right foot between the hands, drop the back knee, point the back toe. Track the right knee over the ankle, take a couple moments. And then straighten the right leg, kick the heel down into the floor. And then lunge back into that knee, three-legged dog, right leg high. Release the foot. Left leg up. Bend it, roll it open. Eyes forward, step it through, let the knee hang over the foot, point your back toe. So when people say their hips are tight, I'm often like, what do you even mean? Because we have inner hip, we've got outer hip, and then we've got the front and the back. Straighten your left leg, kick your heel. So with a hamstring opener like this, we're dealing with the back of our hips, the way our femur bone connects into the acetabulum. Lunge deeply into that front knee, send the left leg high. Release the foot. So as we flow, ask yourself, where are your hips limited? Inner thigh, outer thigh, top of the thighs, or kind of back body, hamstrings. Eyes forward, top of the mat. Lift your heart. Bow. Stand up, reach up. Release the arms. Arms up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lengthen. Step walk, fly back, Chaturanga, chin forward. Urdhva Mukha up. Adho Mukha back. Right leg lifts. Bend it. This time, step it outside the right wrist and drop your back knee. Point your back toe. Roll over on to the pinky toe edge of the right foot and settle for a moment. Like a pigeon pose, but off to the side, a little bit like Baddha Konasana or butterfly. Try to get the head of the femur really deep into the hip. And then tuck your back toes, send that right leg high, and release the foot. Left leg up, bend the knee. Sweep it outside the left hand, drop the right knee, and roll to the pinky toe edge. So if this is the place that your hip is tight, it would mean that the outer hip is tight. And what's interesting about Lotus or Padmasana is sometimes it's genetic. The way you're built, the way your bones are in your sockets, how deep the bone sits. And then slide back, downward dog. Set your eyes, strong arms. Eyes forward, top of the mat. Inhale, lengthen. Bow. Reach up, arms up. Release your arms. Bending into the knees, Utkatasana. Hands to your heart, wrap the left foot around the right knee for a figure 4 shape. And take your arms back behind you like a warrior 3, an airplane pose. That left foot is flexed, the thighs are wide. Inhale, Utkatasana. Opposite side, hook the shin, sitting bones wide, arms back. So again, this would be an externally rotated hip. This is the action of half lotus or full. Inhale, Utkatasana. Uttanasana, fold. Halfway lift. Step walk, float back, lower. Roll it open. Slide it back. Lift your right leg up. Step it through. Arms up. Warrior 2. Flip your warrior. Hands down for a gentle pigeon. Lower the top of the foot. Point your back toe, tense your fingers, and take a couple breaths. Tuck your back toe under, step back, lower. Drag it open. Take it back. Lift your left leg up. Step it through. Arms up. Warrior 2. Flip it. Hands down for a gentle pigeon. Point your toe, lower the top of the foot. Fingertips down. So this is half lotus, I promise you. The heel is really tight to the groin. Nothing fancy. Plant your palms, step back, low push-up. Roll the heart open, lift the chest. Slide back, downward dog. Walk your hands back to your feet. Fan the feet, little malasana, hands to heart. Take a bind over the right knee joint so the left hand drops behind the back, and as you bind, work your left knee the heck away from the right knee. Like your chest was appalled by your knee and your knee was appalled by your chest. Release the bind, take it on the opposite side, catch a shirt finger strap, and pull your right knee away from your left knee, away from your right shoulder. Release the posture, flip the toes forward, downward dog. Eyes forward, top of the mat. Lift your heart. Fold in. Sit on your throne, arms up. Stand tall. Adding on. Bend the knees and hook your left foot over your right knee, hands to heart. So you might stay right here. You may take the arms back, and some of you might hook your left forearm, your left elbow on your left sole of your foot. A little twist. 2. 1, untangle, sit on your throne. Other side, hook the shin, hands to heart, maybe back. Maybe take your right elbow and place it on the sole of your foot. Untangle, Utkatasana. Uttanasana, fold. Halfway lift. Step walk, fly back, lower. Roll it open, lift your heart. Take it back. Lift your right leg up. Step it through. Arms up. Warrior 2. Exalted Warrior 2, extended side. So elbow to knee or hand outside the foot. And for today, hand down, left hand on the left hip. Push your right knee into your right armpit so hard, and don't even think about your top arm. So the hand is on the waist. And your glute, your hip, should have a little bit of a burn, a shake in it. Like you're working so hard with what we call the abductor muscles. Couple more breath. Untangle this, hands down. Lower your foot for pigeon with a little bit of a twist. Take your left hand off the mat, reach the right arm back, and start to reach for that right big toe in a lotus bind. You might strap the foot. This might just look like a twist. So what about the back foot? So when you're working lotus posture, especially when you're in pigeon or you're working from headstand, it's super important you don't forget about what grounds you. Untangle this shape, tuck the back toes under, step back and lower. Roll it open, lift the chest. Slide it back. Left leg up. Stomp it through. Arms up. Warrior 2. Flip the warrior. Extended side angle, elbow to knee or the hand outside the foot, but keep your right hand on your right hip. Look down at your left foot and work your left knee into your armpit, and then push your left arm back into your leg. So I say this frequently, but it's not so much flexibility as it is power. And it's difficult to think about it when we're opening our hips if they're tense, sore. Beautiful. Hands down and lower that left foot like pigeon, really close to the hip. Walk the right hand off the mat, reach your left arm behind your back, and maybe catch your toe in a half lotus grip. So eventually in the closing series, we have full lotus and we're holding both our toes. So this is kind of an introduction to half of that. And I have T-Rex arms and I can do it, so if I can do it and you have long arms, you have a huge advantage. I also have short legs, so that might be an advantage. Untangle the shape, hands down, step back, lower. Roll it open, lift the chest, slide it back. Walk your hands back to your feet in a little malasana squat for birds of paradise or stay as you are. So lifting your bottom, thread your right arm under your left knee, or right knee, sorry. Catch a bind and walk your left foot through center, and some of you might stand up. Malasana though, a little squat is perfect if that's where you're at. Super gently releasing the flight, untangle the arms, other side, thread the left arm under, get a grip, walk that right foot through center, and maybe stand up, birds of paradise. So how would this pose even resemble or mimic what has to happen in lotus? Think about the placement right now of your thigh bone. Gently untangle the shape. Little malasana, stay as you are, or we'll tip it forward, crow to headstand to figure four. So if you're with me and you're headstanding, take your right foot in front of your left knee and bend your left leg. Take it into a back bend, using your right foot to kick your left knee back. And then untangle other side, take your left foot and work it to take your other foot back behind you in a back bend. Don't forget your arms, your fingers. Untangle the pose, maybe you hook the knees back on the arms to pick it up for crow. Release the feet, malasana. Walk it forward, downward dog. A little check-in, set your eyes, how's my legs, my breath? Eyes forward, top of the mat. Lift your heart, fold in, bend your knees, arms up. Stand tall. Bend your knees, Utkatasana. Hands to your heart, wrap your left foot, option to stay or flying pigeon. Hooking the shin on the arm, send the right leg to the sky. Own the leg in the sky. 2, 1, release your flight, sit in your throne. Other side, hook your shin. Option to stay. Option to plant the palms and fly. Leg in the sky. So why is this relevant to half lotus? It's huge. Utilizing the bottom hip's power to get the top leg up. Release. Sit in your throne, fold in half. Lift your heart. Step walk, fly back, lower. Drag it open. Take it back. Right leg up. Step it through. Arms up. Warrior 2. Exalted, warrior 2, goddess pose. Let's hold our knees. So the hands are on the knees, almost like nollie, meaning there's a bit of a lock in the elbow joint. Less about fire and more about traction. Let the pelvis drop nice and low. 2. 1. Pivot the toes forward, hands down, Prasarita A, lengthen. Fold forward, hands down, maybe head down. Maybe you stay just the way you are. Maybe you float up. And if you're floating up, you might take your right leg into that crossed over figure 4. You might fold it in to catch the foot and lift up for flying pigeon. 2. 1. If you have any variation, return to headstand. Release your feet. Walk it forward to a wide-legged dog and then to frog pose. Drop your knees, flex your feet. And if you would like to put a bolster or blanket under your tummy to make it feel a bit more supported, you can. Press your knees into the ground and lift your feet up off the mat. What happens there? So that would be kind of like a hero's pose, right? And then release the feet and glide your bottom back. Close your eyes. And then slowly peel yourself up, tuck your toes so you're wide-legged, and face your right leg for half split or full. Straighten the front leg. Use your blocks if you need and glide in. So what side of the hip are we focusing on right now? Because everything is everything, meaning every pose we do, every exercise off the mat, every book we read, every TV show we watch, it all becomes part of who we are. So right now, in this particular yoga shape, what are you doing? And are you doing something that's then going to support learning to do Lotus? Some of you will stay in Hanuman to access the back leg, so if you feel safe to bend the leg and catch it, you could. Otherwise, we'll return to a lunge, bend the back leg, catch the foot, and drop the pelvis. So just a couple breaths to get into the psoas, the thigh, the hip. Release this pose, pigeon pose, one more time. Option to stay just the way you are. Option to take the twist and catch the toe, or option to bend the back leg for a mermaid. Some of you could even take a king and catch your front big toe. Remember, pigeon pose is so important because it's a balance posture. Untangle this shape to move into half lotus on the left. So sitting over on the right. Take your left leg forward, and before you do anything, rock your hip. Hold the patella, the knee, the left knee, and just notice if this feels okay to slide it back and forth. okay, take your heel nice and high to your hip and cross it over. Half lotus, or you might just end up in a cross-legged shape. Take your left hand behind your back. See if you could catch your left lotus toe. Take the right hand to the right knee and push, left knee. Take the right hand to the left knee and push your knee away from your body. Come all the way through center. Maybe you stay just the way you are, but maybe you take your right leg and cross it over your left in lotus. And maybe it's for a millisecond. And then the Victoria's Secret jump back, stand up on the knees, widen your elbows, hook your elbows under your ribs, pick your lotus up, shoot your legs back, lift your heart, downward dog. Walk your hands back to your feet. Option A, squat. Option B, headstand half lotus. Bring your eyes to me for a moment. So what happens is when I take my first leg, and in this case we're going to actually do left because that's what we did before, I fold my left leg and I'm pointing my foot, and then I bend it back to just get a little bit of a tighter grip. And then I start to fold it in to make it tight. So you might stop there. Some of you might be able to tangle up the feet. So wherever you are, headstand half, maybe a wall headstand, and some of you might go headstand full lotus. Maybe it's a headstand butterfly. And then moving into either crow or a lotus pickup. And then untangle your legs, little squat. Walk yourself forward, downward dog. Lift your left leg up. Step it through. Arms up. Warrior two. Exalted warrior. Warrior two. And then goddess without the arms. So fan the feet to the upper corners of your mat. And hands rest on the knee joints, on the quadricep muscles, the inner thigh, tops of the thighs, and sink low. This is for traction. And sometimes there's these places in our body that we're scared to enter. Like, what if we got injured? But what if we found total freedom and mind-body connection? Flip your toes forward, hands to the earth, Prasarita A one more time. Head down, hands down. Maybe you stay there, maybe you float it up. And if you were playing with that figure four shape, you might hook your left shin on top, take the right foot back into a little bit of a back bend, and then fold it in, hook the foot, and fly. Wherever you are, return to headstand, and then lower the feet. You'll either do middle splits or frog pose. Yogi's choice. So we did frog pose once. If you'd like to go middles, slide your thighs, inner edges of the feet down. Close your eyes. So what part of the hips are you targeting? slowly working your hands under your shoulders and pivot to face your left leg for half split or full. Straighten it and glide. Feel free to use your blocks. And again, what part of the hip are you targeting? And even though we're focusing on our hamstrings now, there should be an element of traction. So if you think about that goddess pose and how we tractioned against the knees, in all of my yoga shapes, there's an element of traction, like I'm lifting out of. Some of you might stay just the way you are to bend the back leg, but some of you might lunge into the left leg. Taking a hold of the right knee, bending it up. What part of the hip is this? The thigh. So when we do standing half-bound lotus, I believe this action, that back leg, is really important. Because we drop the knee toward the floor in standing half-bound lotus. Release the shape. Option 1, pigeon. Option 2, any variation of pigeon. So you might work mermaid, some of you king, maybe a half lotus bind like you did the other time. Untangle this shape and then sit on the left hip, draw the right leg forward and rock the hip. So you might stop right there, just play. Some of you might take your right foot into half lotus and then just take a couple moments, feel that. Maybe you stay cross-legged. Some of you might take your right hand behind your back to catch your right toe. Remember, if you have long arms, this is a really big advantage to you. So utilize them, or short legs like me. Press your left hand into your right knee, roll your chest open. Untangle this bind, come through center, you might do nothing. You might pick your left foot up and cross it over for Padmasana, lotus on the other side. And it may be like a millisecond before the agony of the ankle joints is too much. And it's normal to feel something. Victoria's Secret push-up, unless you have a glide, so yogi's choice on how you want to transition out. You can glide the knees up the arms, shoot back, ride it up, downward dog. Walk your hands to the back of your mat and fan your feet, Malasana. Maybe you stay here, maybe you play with headstand, half lotus, a little teddy bear stand, or headstand, full lotus. So tipping it forward to fly. This time, the right foot crosses over half lotus. Remember, you're gonna wiggle in, fold in, to hook your left foot. Wiggle, 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 to maybe go full Padmasana upside down. Maybe half, maybe butterfly. And then you can fold it in, catch your little crow or lotus on the backs of the arms. Untangle little Malasana, little squat. And then downward facing dog, slide forward. Eyes forward, top of the mat. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold. Sit on your throne, arms up. Stand tall. Half-bound standing lotus. Now people often do not listen to me, but this is the trick. So if you have trouble with it, please listen. So you will be on your left leg and watch what I do. I take the meat of my calf and I put my heel as high as I can. I bend my standing leg and my lotus toe is pointed. You could use a wall if you need. Take your left hand to your left knee. You have to twist and sort of lift the knee up to catch the toe. And then you can drop the knee, lower the fingertips, and if it feels safe, straighten the leg. But that catch has to happen first. Okay, let's see what happens. On your left leg, right leg up, heel so high to the hip. Bend your left leg very deep, like you're skiing and you really need to bend your knees. Take your hand behind your back, your right hand, twist to catch the toe, and then bend the standing leg if you're gonna fold forward. And once you're down, so you have to have a bind, and then once you're down, then you straighten. So if we're folding forward without a bind, we're kind of going nowhere. The bind is the first part, it's the hardest part. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale. Rise all the way up. Release the shape. Take a moment. I often feel like I'm gonna pass out here. Whew. Other side. So again, you have to bend your standing leg. You have to twist. Otherwise, you're like reaching in space for nothing. So other leg. Pick your left leg up. Bend your right. Go so high with that left foot. Twist the torso to catch the lotus toe. And then as you fold, if you fold, only when you're safe do you straighten that standing leg. Drop your head, square off the shoulders. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, rise all the way up. Release the pose. Take a moment, close your eyes. Swallow. How are you? Bring your feet hip distance apart. Fan the feet to the sky. Side, hands to the heart, little malasana. Drop your bottom to the floor, lift your legs up, catch the edges of your feet. Upavishta Konasana. Back to Malasana, pop it forward. Bakasana, crow. Some of you might pop up, full handstand. And float back. Lower, ride it up, take it back. You might grab a hold of your blocks, eyes forward, float through to a seat. Half-bound seated lotus. We did it standing and now we do it seated. Take your right leg, fold it in and rock the hips so it's just like standing. The other thing is you only have like 1/2 of a breath to get into the pose. So make sure that you're not setting up your tarps and lighting your fire and your candles and making sure that everything's just right. Take your heel high to your groin. You might like a block underneath your lotus knee and then drop the knee. Take your left hand to your right knee to leverage and twist. The right hand behind the back, just like when we're standing, to catch the toe. Square the shoulders and fold. So if these poses are like really challenging, which I'm assuming they are because they just are by nature, and if it takes you like 15 breaths to get into it, a thought is to practice just at home at random times, or to take the extra time needed. Inhale, find length. Release the shape. It's a vinyasa, a dandasana, or an L-sit. You might flow, you might be happy just the way you are. And then opposite side, Ardha Baddha Padma, take your left leg, heel so tight to the hip. Maneuver your bum, like I like to rock my bum side to side so that my femur bone slides into position. Take your right hand to your left knee in order to guide that left hand farther around to catch the toe. It's a big grip. And then square the shoulders and fold over your thigh. Work your lotus knee to the floor. Inhale, lengthen. Release the shape, vinyasa or dandasana. So I'd like to look at just a couple more seated half lotus shapes, all the way back through to a seat. And take your right leg back for crown chasana, Erin. Take the meat of the calf, roll it out of the way, round the pelvis. If you need a block, like use your blocks and lift your leg. Okay, so two things are happening right now. Your bottom hip, there is going to be a little bit more freedom because your glute can pick up off the floor. And you're already set up so that the rotation in the left leg should be a little bit easier to access. We've done it a few times. So this is Bharadvadrasana. This is from the second series. Inhale, lengthen. Bend your long leg. Same entry, the knee falls to the side. Take the meat of the calf. Take your heel to your hip and then pick up your right bum cheek and lower your left knee down. If your knee is not on the ground, you're very unsafe. So I see people doing this pose and the knee is here. It's dangerous. Drop your knee, put super glue on it. Take your right hand to your left knee to spiral around and catch your lotus toe. Spin your heart. Feel the right toes thread, press, anchor down into the floor. Untangle this pose, Marichi B. Left hand to the left, pop the right foot forward and step it forward. Again, left knee down. If your left knee is up, this is dangerous. So in your head, this is like you blowing through a red light and you're wasted. Put your knee down, follow the rules of the road. Reach that right arm forward and tangle behind the knee. So left knee is down. Remember, you're running a red light if you do not have your lotus knee down. So we trust that that rule is put there to keep us safe. So the same is true in the yoga practice, knee down. Inhale, lengthen. Release the posture, Vinyasa Dandasana, or a little L-sit. Nice work, by the way. And then moving to the opposite side, take the left leg, tuck it back, move the meat of the calf, round the pelvis, lift your right leg up, Crown Chasana. So I like to do this pose before the other one because it helps to take the head of my thigh bone and put it in my pelvis, put it in my hip socket. The safest place for a bone is in its joint. Beautiful. Same entry. Bend your right leg. Move the meat of the calf. Cross your foot, high your hip. Remember, you're going to blow a red light unless you lower that right knee down. So your left hip is up. Take your left hand to your right knee to help reach that right hand behind the back. Traction. Push down on the knee. Traction the right shoulder back. It is not a normal, natural human thing to move in this way. So we're using traction and we're pulling the head of the humerus back. Untangle this shape. Marichi B, hang to the right, step your left foot forward, okay? Right knee joint is down, otherwise you're blowing a red light and the likelihood of getting hit is pretty high. Reach that left arm forward, maybe catch a bind, maybe work the half lotus, maybe nothing really happens. Inhale, lengthen. Release the shape and then push back to a high plank. Come all the way down onto your belly and roll over onto your back for Savasana corpse pose. And if you wanted to play with a headstand lotus right now, you could, but we're moving into Savasana time. And drape your shoulders. Take a big inhale. One more. A teacher of mine a long time ago said, if you want to be a yogi, just be a yogi. You know, don't let there be any other option. So if you want to do half lotus or full lotus, just do it. Put in the time. Go through the uncomfortable growth that we all have to go through of tight knees and sore hips until one day that yoga pose, it really feels like butter. Padmasana, lotus, is symbolic of, a lotus is so stunning. If you've ever seen them in waters, I saw them in India, and there would be like diapers floating and like disgusting water, and this beautiful flower that sat in that water. And the idea is that a lotus grows from mud and dirt and muck. It looks for the light even in the dark, in the complete dark. bringing movement to your fingers and movement to your toes. Reach your arms long overhead, big full body stretch. Point the toes. Tuck your knees to your belly to roll to the right. And rise to a seat. And let's see about our lotus. Now that we did Savasana, you might just cross the right ankle over, that's fine, but maybe you work a right leg, and then maybe you lean back and hook your left leg to come into a fully bloomed lotus. Hands resting on the shins, on the ankles. Close your eyes. And then untangle the legs, give them a little shake out in front. Opposite side, it's either a cross-legged left on top or a lotus left then right. Put the opposite palm on your lap. Bring your hands to your heart. Seal the practice, the pearls of wisdom, lifting our eyes to each other. Namaste.